Hello and welcome. My name is Alan Furlong, and I just wanted to say thank you for coming along and learning these essential skills to flourish personally, but also to create flourishing in individuals and in teams. So, this is about creating a successful you so you can create a successful life, career, or business if you're an entrepreneur. Now, to be happy, more fulfilled in your life, to make a bigger impact. This is a quote from Happier by Tal Ben-Shahar, my mentor, who was Harvard-based positive psychologist. It is not enough to experience meaning on the general level. We need to find meaning on the specific level of our daily existence as well. It is often difficult to sustain ourselves with the thought of a general sense of purpose that lies far off on the horizon. We need a more specific sense that we are doing something meaningful today. And this is at the heart of why so many people are unfulfilled, and why, when you look at the data from Gallup, 87% of employees worldwide are disengaged. So the key to life fulfillment and purpose is defining what matters most to us. And having a sense of purpose or fulfillment are derived from a positive stance, not a negative stance. What do we mean by that? Saying that you don't want to be poor is a negative stance. Wanting to make an impact in the world in some way, shape, or form, that's a positive stance. It becomes powerful when it's intrinsic, and that means internally, not externally motivated. And again, that example that I just gave about wanting to make some kind of impact, positive impact in the world, that's intrinsic. It comes from deep within you. It's something that's very important and meaningful to you. It's not an external value like making a few bucks or having a nice house. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It is truly compelling when we move from fulfilling our own needs to serving something bigger than us. Now, there's a great book called The Path to Purpose by William Dawson, and he says this: study after study proves a person's sense of life purpose to be closely connected to virtually all dimensions of well-being, psychological, emotional, and physical. So I want you to think about this very quickly. How excited are you to get to work in the morning? Just think about the immediate answer. Just hold it in your head. How much do you enjoy what you do for its own sake rather than for what it gets you? And then finally, how accountable do you hold yourself to a deeply held set of values? Now, if the answer is, I'm never excited about work, I don't really enjoy what I do, it pays the bills, I don't really, or I'm not clear on my values, I've got a couple, off the top of my head, but I've never really thought about it, then that's fine. Most of us are like that. And according to the stats I said earlier, about 87% of the working population. If one of these is, I'm very clear about my values, but I'm not very excited about work, or I don't really enjoy it, then that's good too. And that's the reason why we're doing this preparation before we get together. So I'm going to take you through an exercise, very simple, very powerful, and we're going to do part of it here, and then we're going to complete it when we're together. So, how to create a clearer sense of purpose, have more fulfillment in your life. This is the meaning, pleasure, strengths exercise from Tal's book, Happier. It's one of the most powerful exercises you can do. So I'd ask you just to do two things. Firstly, remove any distractions. So turn off your mobile phone, switch off your email if it's running in the background while you're listening to this. And if you're in a work environment, find a quiet room. Secondly, spend some time thinking about this. Don't rush. We're all so busy, we just bang through things very quickly, but this is about thinking. And Henry Ford once said, thinking is the hardest thing that people do. That's why so few people do it. So take some time and really think about the answers to these very simple questions, but very powerful questions. So here we go. Step number 1. To elicit what gives you a sense of meaning, just answer these questions. Firstly, remembering your positive past. I want you to write down an experience or a time in your life when you were at your, and give yourself 10 minutes or so to write that down. If you want to pause the video here, that's fine. The second question is, at the end of your life, what are the 3 most important lessons you've learned, and why are they so critical? And again, give yourself 10 minutes to do that. And if you want to pause the video before you move on, not a problem. Third question is, who are you at your best? Very simple question, very powerful. And then finally, what 1-sentence inscription would you like to see on your tombstone that would capture who you really were in life? When you've completed all of these questions and you've taken some time for each question, what I want you then to do is highlight the recurring themes, the recurring words, the recurring phrases, and that's it. This will give you a much clearer sense of what gives you meaning in your life. It's the start of a process. Purpose doesn't happen overnight. It is a journey, but this is a very powerful way to begin that journey with more clarity. So by all means, you can stop the video and go back and do one at a time, spend some time with this, and then at the end of answering those 4 questions, simply underline the key words and the key themes. So that's step number 1. Step number 2, how to experience a sense of happiness at a daily level. And that's the question answered, what gives me pleasure? Now this is actually much easier to do. Hopefully it would take a little less thought, and I've put some examples here from my life. And so daily happiness, what gives me pleasure? Daily happiness, watching a funny YouTube video, telling a joke, that kind of thing. Pushing my daughter on the swings, hanging out with them, climbing in trees, speaking, presenting, teaching, writing, homemade biscuit at 3:30, seeing people grow. All of these small things are what gives you a sense of pleasure, that daily kind of happiness. So you should be able to write 20, 25 things. Some will be small, some will be big, but give yourself a little bit of time to put together at least 20 things that give you a sense of daily pleasure. And the next step, number 3, is about strengths. Okay, so what are my strengths? Now, there is a website called Authentic Happiness. This is part of Penn University's Positive Psychology Department. And this page has a questionnaire center. So you can see it says questionnaires, get started. If you click on the drop-down menu, you will see questionnaire center, which takes you to this page. And what we'd ask you to do is take the VIA survey of character strengths. With the email you received, I put a link to the Authentic Happiness website. And once you're at this page and you try to take the survey of character strengths, it's going to ask you to create your own login. It's a very straightforward process of putting your email, and a password in, and that's it pretty much. Come back here and you do the character strengths. Now this has been taken by a couple of million people. It's very powerful. It's been widely researched, and it gives you a set of what I call internal or intrinsic strengths. So for me, my top strengths: fairness, equity, and justice. Second strength is bravery and valor, honesty, authenticity, and genuineness. So do this is really important. And in addition to your internal strengths, you can add the additional strengths. So these are the things that most of us would say are our strengths. I'm a good communicator, great rapport builder, creative thinker, strong strategic thinker, good marketing skills. They're all important. But those intrinsic internal strengths are things that we often don't recognize, yet they're actually as important, sometimes more important, than these extrinsic external strengths. So once you've finished your VIA survey of character strengths and you've added your additional strengths, then that's it. You're pretty much done. And what you'll end up with is 3 lists. 1 list of keywords or phrases for meaning, 1 list of words for pleasure, and 1 list of words for strengths. Now these are just little short lists as examples from my life. You may have 20 odd. And that's all you need to do is just get to this point where we have a list for each of the three areas: meaning, pleasure, and strengths. And then bring that list to our time together. Now, the final piece in terms of preparation is just a question. I want you to write down the names of 3 people you most admire. They could be famous, maybe not famous. They could be personal friends or people you know in your personal life. They could be old bosses, previous teachers, and so on. But write down the names of 3 people in your life that you most admire. And then write down for each person the qualities that you most admire. So maybe there's 3, 4, 5 qualities that you most admire. And that's pretty much it. So there's a little bit of thinking work, but the goal, remember, is that you feel more fulfilled in your life, you feel happier, you have a sense of clarity, you have higher energy, you look after yourself better, and so on. This is the beginning of that process. So be kind to yourself and give yourself this time and use it well. And we look forward to seeing you soon.